Hi guys, and welcome to this video series on the BX Oberhausen synthesizer from Plugin Alliance and Brainworks. Now you may be familiar with Brainworks' plugin suite. They've created many classic compressors, EQs and mastering tools. They've also created very faithful recreations of old analog equipment, things like desks, etc. And also created guitars and bass amps as well. But now they've moved into creating soft synths as well that are modeling analog synthesizers. Now the BX Oberhausen is kind of based on iconic synthesizers of the 70s. And they've really gone to town on modeling the analog components and circuitry. It's essentially a 2-oscillator synth, and it has the state variable VCF filter here, but it also has some additions that you wouldn't find on a classic analog synthesizer, things like mid-side processing, FM, and also extensive modulation possibilities as well. Now, something else that you would find on an analog synth, but not necessarily on other soft synth recreations of analog synths, is something called TMT. Now, the TMT functionality allows you to very authentically recreate the sound of several monophonic synths being daisy-chained together, essentially. So you get those slight variations between kind of pitch and tone for each one of the voices. So it does that by modeling the tolerances of the audio components that were used in these original synthesizers, and allows you to have your own access to the kind of variations that would have occurred in those original units. So basically, it's going to give you a digital synth, which is going to sound, as analog as possible, essentially. So that's TMT, which stands for Tolerance Modeling Technology. So that's a little bit of background on the synth itself. As I said, we also have mid-side processing within the plugin too, which is kind of a hallmark of Brainworks' work. You often find mid-side capabilities within their plugins, which is super useful. So this allows you to determine how much of the signal is going to be present in the side, so basically how wide the sound is going to be. And we have that for the oscillators here and also for the filter too. We're going to be going through that. Okay, so that's an overview of what this synth's all about, essentially. Let's have a look at the interface and just make sure from the start we know where everything is and what it's called. So we're going to call this window here the main section, which is where we have our oscillators here. That general section, which is things like portamento and pitch bend, etc., legato, level. VCF is the voltage controlled filter, which is where we have a filter cutoff, resonance, modulation options here as well, and routing. But then we have our modulation down here. So we have two envelopes here, and then an LFO1 and LFO2 here too. And then we have some extra options down here, the TMT I talked about, unison, number of voices, transposition, etc. So that's kind of our main view here, where we have a lot of the most important controls for, setting up your sound. Then if we come across to this little option here to click on, buried within here, we have an effects section. Should we click on, that's going to bring up our effects. You can see those here. We have an arpeggiator located here as well. You can see that there. And we have a modulation matrix, so we can go through and route modulators and change the sound over time. Now, in addition, we have the preset management from within here. And on this toolbar, we have things like MIDI learn as well. Undo, redo. We can save a preset, and we can also access presets from within here as well. Okay, so that is an overview of the plugin itself, and also an outline of the interface and what everything's called and where it's located. Okay, so now that that's covered, in the first video, we're going to actually jump straight into the oscillators so we can start making some sound. We'll come back to the general pane here within the main section later, but we'll start off with the VCO1 and VCO2. So I'll see you then. Thanks for watching.